All right, this is part 2 of our talk with Raymond Francis, the MIT biochemist and incredible health expert, and really my guru for teaching me about health and what disease is, what health is, and how to stay healthy and how to avoid being sick. And this is a two-parter, so if you missed part 1, go back and listen to that, because a lot of this is a continuation of that. And we try to build on our earlier conversation. And so get a chance to listen to part 1. Here we're going to go with part 2 on See What Happens with Raymond Francis, author, health expert, and my good friend. Okay. All right, we're back with Raymond Francis here on See What Happens. Now, Raymond, we're going to say again, beyondhealth.com. People can find the best high quality supplements, and also they can find from your books. Like, to me, the life changing book for me, which we actually, what's so great about it was, like, because I was feeling crappy. And my dad had passed away, but I was also noticing that I was just dragging, and I said to you, thankfully I listened to you on the radio, and I said, when I had to meet you, so we arranged at a time when you were in Los Angeles, and then I said, just give me everything, and you gave me a list of, I swear I have 3 drawers worth of vitamins there, but I got to tell you, it's made a life change for me, and I thank you for that. I want to thank you publicly for this, and. Now, so what happens though for people if cellular? On the cellular level, they're constantly not in that range of alkaline range, which you can find out how you can do it. And by basically, and I would say to people who are listening and watching, to be healthy, get a list of alkaline foods, get a list of acidic foods, and try to be, what's a good ratio for that? Just get a list, put it on your refrigerator.
Yeah, and the thing is that all the big 4, the sugar, the wheat, they're all acidic. They all have an acidic effect on the body.
So as soon as you cut that out, and meat is also going to be acidic, but if you have a 20%, because we eat way too much meat, this is one of the few cultures which is the meat is here and the salad's here,
right,
where it should be just a little something.
Little meat and mostly vegetables, yeah.
Yeah, and mostly vegetables, and that's going to be a huge deal for you. So what happens now, when I want to move on to what happens when they're sick for a chronic illness, or when there's cells and your genes are so stressed out over time, and then when your acidity starts to become so low, and we don't know the exact reasons. There are some things we could say what can cause things. And one of the interesting things you came out in your book was that when the oxygenation level of the cells, in other words, what the percentage of oxygen in the cells gets so low,
right, that
they can go to my understanding of it from a non-chemist, from a comedian, is just it was that they get so low that they, correct me if I'm wrong, but they get to a very basic level, on the cellular level of survival, yeah, which is
that they go into a survival mode.
Yeah, fission, right?
A very primitive type of cell.
Yeah,
and the cell loses its ability to check its replication.
Yeah.
So a cancer cell is a cell that keeps growing and doesn't have any brakes on its growth.
But let's talk about that for 1 second before we get into that. Exactly, is a normal human being, a person. I mean, everyone has cancer cells, but if you're functioning, your alkaline is good, and you're not, overly stressed out, your body, you can get rid of these cancer cells, and it's not. But at a certain point, what happens?
Well, the thing is that if our society today, and almost everybody, if you're over age 50, mm-hmm, you're riddled with cancer cells, and that's just the bottom line in our society, mm-hmm, in America today.
Yeah.
But
here you are, 83.
Yeah, I'm riddled with cancer cells.
But they're not.
But the key is that they're not growing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay to have these little microclusters of cancer cells.
Yeah.
They're not going to bother you so long as they don't grow.
Right.
But when they start to grow out of control, then you get a tumor.
Yeah.
And now you've got a problem. So you need to keep the growth under control. And we can do the body. Cancer is historically a very rare disease.
That's right. If you go back to the 1930s, what were the numbers for cancer?
Go back beyond. Very, very rare disease.
Yeah, it just wasn't something that came up.
Right.
People didn't die of that.
And the reason why it was a rare disease is because it's so very, very difficult to get it.
So it really is a series of chemical reactions in your body for years and years and years, potentially, or also that's interfering that's turning on these specific genes, and it has to be done in a certain order, in an extremely complicated way.
Extremely complicated. You've got to turn on. You've got to turn on all these biological switches, and you got to do it all right, or it won't happen. So that's why it was so difficult. But now in the modern world, thank goodness, we've made it really, really easy. So now
one of the advances.
We've advanced.
Now anybody, luckily, can get cancer.
Exactly.
Not so rare.
And now almost half the population
is going to get
cancer in their lifetime.
So basically, people are walking around and they don't realize they're sick, but they're sick, and they need to get a handle on it before these symptoms hit the.
Sure. And one simple thing to do is measure your pH.
And if your pH is under 6.5, it should be 6.5 to 7.5. If it's under that, then you are on your road.
You're sick, and you're getting sicker. And another thing, of course, is your energy.
Yeah.
Do you get tired during the day? Do you feel like you need a nap? Can you go from morning to late evening and filled with energy?
Yeah.
If not, you have a problem. You're sick.
Yeah.
And if you go to the doctor and say, like I did, say, Doc, I don't have the energy I used to have, and he says, well, you're getting older. That's not the right answer.
If you would have listened to him, you would not be here right now.
Oh, absolutely not. No. The doctors, doctors are good people, and I don't want to get.
And they're well-intentioned.
Well-intentioned. They go into medicine because they want to help other people. Yeah. They want to relieve suffering and pain. They want to do good in the world. They want to feel good that they've done a lifetime of service to humanity.
Yeah, genuinely.
These wonderful, wonderful people make the biggest mistake of their life, and they go to medical school. And in medical school,
indoctrinated into a system,
into a system of poisoning you with toxic chemicals, and
treating your body as different parts.
Yeah, and then they cut you loose into the population to practice essentially nonsense. And not that they don't do good. There's about 10 to 15% of medicine is just brilliant.
Oh, absolutely. By the way, in America, if you're lucky to live in America and you get hit by a bus or have a heart attack, a stroke, break a leg, whatever, have a gigantic wound, this is the greatest trauma.
Best care in the world.
Yeah. But anything other than that, look out.
Yeah. The minute
they will kill you.
Step over the line into the realm of disease.
You're out of luck.
You're into Neverland.
Yeah. Like I went to India, and the thing was striking to me about India, and they got a lot of problems in India. They have bacterial infections. They have things, but they don't have dementia. They don't have diabetes. They don't have that same off the charts kind of illnesses that come with. They call it lifestyle illnesses, but it really is we really have like a society of dis-ease here in America.
Well, they're still mostly farmers, and so they're eating real food.
Yeah,
and that makes a big difference. I remember the first time I was in Egypt, and we were going through these poor people, and there were these donkey carts going along, and you'd look at the donkey cart, and it was filled with carrots that looked more beautiful than anything I'd ever seen, and all these things, and they're taking the donkey cart into the little town, and the women come out and they buy off of the donkey cart, and they don't have any refrigeration. Didn't have any refrigeration.
Oh yeah.
So they were eating fresh stuff. They were eating better than we are. It's so
in our advanced society.
Yeah, and that's why they don't have those kinds of problems. But once you get into the city, and then the problems like the whole Middle East, diabetes is epidemic.
Well, now it is because they've adopted more of this Western lifestyle.
Right,
for sure.
Adopted our foods in the Western lifestyle.
And so getting back to cancer, and like for a lot of people, there's this, and I really loved your book about cancer because what it really is called, never fear cancer again, because it is afraid. It's a very fearful, because people it's their interpretation of this thing that is happening to them from the outside. Like there is this perception of cancer as this thing. It's like, oh my God, how did this happen to me? And this idea that they're attacked by this alien thing, where it isn't, where it's just something that came from them.
Yes.
And that it was turned on and in essence and grown. And if you can turn it on and you can grow it, then you can turn it off and you can shrink it.
Precisely.
And you don't have to poison it, cut it out, or burn it, which is the preferential treatment,
Right.
which is in your book, which was stunning in your book, was that it was just, it goes to show not just and the ineffectiveness of Western medicine in treatment of cancer, but the deception, because what they do is they try to they want you to think that they know what they're doing with cancer treatments, and they do. I think the people who treat cancers, they really are well intentioned, but the fact of the matter is they manipulate the data. So, for instance, there's the data that it goes into the cancer. Like they say, like, well, no, the cancer. Once you look at the data, you realize how false it is. And I'm just going to go over it and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a. I went to a junior college, so you have to forgive me, and I'm a comedian. But they don't include the lung cancers in the cancer rates. So they said, oh, their cancer rates are better now.
Yeah.
They don't include the lung cancers, which is the number one killer.
Yeah.
And they do include the skin cancers, which is the easiest to identify and the easiest to treat. So they include that. So, the numbers are looking better. But once you realize and take the manipulations out, the cancer cure rate is just as bad as now as it was in 1950.
That is correct.
That is correct?
No progress has been made at all.
Wow, that's stunning.
Yeah, it is stunning.
So that is just a complete deception and manipulation of data.
Absolutely. It's all lies. And indeed, even the research is, Linus Pauling once said, most cancer research is a fraud. I don't give a dime to cancer research.
Linus Pauling, of course,
well, he was a chemist. He was a Nobel Prize winning chemist.
Isolated vitamin C.
Did a lot of work with vitamin C. A brilliant guy, Nobel Prize winner. But it's the cancer industry is really a fraud, and the thing is that the tumor is a side effect. When you turn on all the correct switches, you turn on a process that produces the tumor. So that's like coming in the morning and turning the switches on in an automobile company, and you put the chassis on this end of the production line, and out the other end of the production line, you get a car.
Yeah.
So our doctors say, oh, the car is a bad thing, so let's kill it, let's destroy it, let's cut it out, let's smash it, let's poison it, let's burn it. And then they destroy the car, and they say, we've won.
Oh, that's unbelievable.
But the production line is still operating, and it's just going to come out with another car. So, a year and a half later, you've got another tumor, and they say, oh, wow, too bad.
Because the systemic issue, when you have cancer in a specific place or any disease, it is the idea of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, the idea of it is that it just happened to manifest in a certain way, but it's systemically from malfunctioning cells again. Yeah. And whether it turns into cancer or turns into diabetes from rampant inflammation. But as far as here's another thing which is outrageous, that the cancer statistics is that if you have survived 5 years after detection, and they're able to detect cancer now way earlier because of these, new image resonancing machines.
Right.
Right. So they're able to detect it way earlier. Now, let's say you survive cancer, and you're lucky, and you made it to 5 years, and you die 5 years and 1 day after.
You've been cured. Yeah.
You get put in the cured
and
category.
That's why the cured rate is now higher than it used to be.
Yeah.
Because now we're diagnosing it earlier.
Yes.
And so you live to be the 5 years.
Sure.
And they say, we've cured you. The whole thing is a fraud. Cancer is a systemic disease. The tumor is just a side effect.
And so what you can do to that is to is starve the cancer. And how can people do that from the cellular level?
Well, you need to turn off the switches.
Right. That's causing the cancer.
And one of the things, of course, to do is to stop feeding the cancer. I mean, cancer...
it needs to have that acidic environment, probably, right?
You get rid of the acidic environment because cancer thrives in the acidic environment.
So you got to get back into alkaline homeostasis.
That's the first thing. If you have cancer, the number one thing you need to do is get back alkaline. That's number one.
Number one, and that is by you're going to have to get juicing, detoxing, and getting back and
taking supplements, magnesium supplements,
vitamin C, a lot of vitamin C to bowel tolerance.
Yes.
In other words, until you're going to the bathroom. And as a matter of fact, you take, I imagine, 14 to 16,000.
I take 16,000 milligrams a day.
A day, and your bowel's used to it, and so you built up to that.
That is my bowel tolerance.
Okay. So you take as much vitamin C, which floods your floods your cells with vitamin C, and strengthens the cells so that they can they keep functioning properly.
You have to. Vitamin C is one of the most important nutrients, and you have to give the body what it needs.
Yes.
And the way to determine what it needs is to do the bowel tolerance test. In other words, you keep going up and up and up and up and up until you get diarrhea.
Yeah.
And then you come down to about 75 or 80% of what you were here. And that's your bowel tolerance. So my bowel tolerance is 16 grams. If I take 20 grams, I'll get diarrhea.
Okay,
If I take 16, I'm fine.
But a lot of people, that's like outrageous to people. Most people, if they do take supplements, will take 1,000 milligrams a day and think they're doing something. And that's not enough.
And they're taking the wrong vitamin C, by the way.
Right, because there's different ways to make vitamin C, and there's some that are...
So the thing is that the vitamin C, the need for vitamin C is the highest ever.
Okay, because it's a real strong antioxidant dealing with the cellular breakdown.
And we live in an oxidizing atmosphere. We've created an oxidizing atmosphere. You turn on your faucet, guess what? Chlorine is coming out of that water.
Yeah, and you're breathing it in?
You're breathing it in. It's having an inflammatory effect on you. So every time you turn on the faucet, you're chewing up vitamin C. And then nobody ever dreamed we'd do something as dumb as drive a car. You drive a car, and all those fumes from the other cars are having a huge inflammatory effect on you.
Yeah.
Chewing up, you drive a car in Los Angeles, and you're chewing up vitamin C faster than you can put it in. So the need for vitamin C is the highest ever, and the availability in our foods is very low.
Because you were talking about your carrots again is not a carrot that you would recognize from 40 years ago.
Right, because all the food is too old. The vitamin C goes very quickly.
Right. Okay, so they need to take a vitamin C, because some places that are treating with Western medicine and these cancer treatments, they are also using vitamin C, high doses of vitamin C intravenously. Unfortunately, I also think they're still doing the burning and and chemotherapy is radiation and,
Well, the vitamin C helps you to tolerate the other bad stuff.
Okay.
But the vitamin C is really doing the good stuff, not the bad stuff.
Okay, so we're talking about vitamin C and then the detoxification. Now, one of the things that you could get, that you could also, again, we're not doing a commercial here for Beyond Health, but we should, because it's an amazing place. But also, you can get these things. Reverse osmosis system is pretty effective at getting out the chlorine out of the water. Reverse osmosis system, putting it right underneath your... Anybody can afford it. It's not crazy expensive. You can get it beyondhealth.com or other places too. Reverse osmosis. I just know that we have a high quality one.
We do.
And it goes right underneath the sink, and it takes out the fluoride out of the water.
Yes.
And chlorine out of the water.
Yes.
And I try to give it to my family. Christian, I gave one to you. And then and you get new filters every 6 months, and then the big one every 2 years.
Every year.
Once
a year. Yeah.
And it's great. And then you have your source right there. And then you use glass containers, because all plastic leaches. So you get if you eat drinking out of plastic, you're having some petroleum products.
Right.
And so getting to a clean water source would be another thing to do for somebody who has cancer, who's sick. And then how else going down the road? What they need to do. They need to be alkaline. They need to be taking high-quality supplements, magnesium.
Well, number one, if you have cancer, you must normalize your pH.
Yeah,
because if you don't, nothing else is going to help you.
Right. Even the vitamin C that you're taking,
Even
because
the vitamin C is
because
not
your
gonna
diet and what you're taking, and it could be also you need to detoxification, which is another thing too, which is getting. And one of the things that you talked me into doing, which I don't do enough of, by the way, but I know I'm going to do it today after seeing you. I feel like I need to get in there. Is a
sauna.
Sauna, infrared saunas.
Right.
Infrared saunas, and you need to be in there not just 10, like a regular hot sauna is different. Infrared, you should probably explain what's the difference, because I mean, I can only take like 10 minutes in the super hot one, but it takes a half hour before the petroleum products start to leach, right?
Right.
Come out
About 20 minutes before
out of the
they
sweat.
start to leach out. Yeah. So the sauna is very important, but that's part of if you have cancer, what you need to do. So the first thing you need to do is normalize the pH.
Normalize the pH.
The second
6.5 to 7.5.
Yeah. The second thing you need to do is change your oil.
Change your oil.
Change your oil.
Okay.
All those supermarket oils you've been eating.
Yeah.
Those supermarket oils are probably, we don't know for certain, but probably the single largest cause of cancer.
Wow.
Because you know why? Cancer is an oxygen, the only two causes of disease, deficiency and toxicity. Cancer is an oxygen deficiency disease.
Wow.
It's a deficiency of oxygen metabolism inside the cell. And when you make the cell out of the supermarket oils, you inhibit the transport of oxygen into the cell and cause an oxygen deficiency inside the cell.
Right.
So to get rid of cancer, to reverse cancer, you must change your oil. You must get off of all the bad oils and get on the good oil.
Because you're talking about every second you're alive again, you're making 10 million cells every second you're alive.
Right.
Of that 70 trillion cells that you are. That's what you're making. So all those cells coming in are being unhealthy. Either those new cells you're making are healthy and then you're healthy, or those new cells you're making are unhealthy and then you're unhealthy.
Right.
So what will be really important is to change that oil. And
then every new cell will be better than the one it's replacing.
yes, and you'll get into a position of wellness. Okay, wow. And that's good, because what that is it really does is that for people listening and watching, because they're so mystified by the high priests of medicine try to make it so complicated, so that
Well, no doctor is going to tell you that.
Yeah.
I don't know if a doctor is going to. There may be one or two in the country that would tell you to do that. So we're giving them, information here that is really very privileged.
yeah, and they can take charge of it, and it's also it just makes sense. It's simple. If I can understand it, then then anybody.
It's simple. If it's an oxygen deficiency disease, the supermarket oils inhibit oxygen going into the cell. So if you put the right oils in, then you get oxygen into the cells, and if it's an oxygen deficiency disease, it goes away.
And so what are some other ways to get oxygen into the cell in a healthy way? The right oils?
The right oils, but part of the problem, again, is that even if you get the oxygen into the cell, it has to react with the metabolic machinery inside the cell. If you have shut down that machinery with toxins, then even if you get oxygen into the cell, it isn't going to help you.
Because
you shut the machinery down.
Right. And so
then you need to detoxify and get rid of the toxins that are shutting down the machinery.
Yeah, so you still have malfunctioning cells, even though you're giving it the right stuff.
Correct.
So because it's an overload and it's not able to function properly. So in the detoxification, this is really, really, really important, because most people walking around right now are not in an alkaline state of homeostasis. They're not 6.5 to 7.5. They're acidic and they're not healthy, and they need to detoxify to get to that. And so, but the good news is it's not that hard.
Well, the average American is a toxic waste dump site. We are some of the most.
Now, people don't respond well to that when you tell that, right?
Most toxic creatures on the planet.
So if we were going to be put in to make hamburgers, we probably wouldn't pass the FDA.
That is correct. In fact, I have a toxicologist friend that said that if we were cannibals, that our meat would not pass FDA standards. We're too toxic. Too toxic.
Oh, that's outrageous.
So
that is pathetically, but true. It's just that you have to laugh. Or what else do you do with that information?
cry.
Okay, so how can we get these? How can we? So eventually, if we become cannibals, it'll be healthy. How do we do that? How do we detoxify in a way? How does the average person feel like not helpless in this, and they can
Well, the
detoxify?
sauna is key.
Okay, sauna is key. Yeah, I'm gonna get in there right after. Right after I'm done talking to you. I'm just gonna jump right in there.
Most of these stored toxins are what we call oil soluble.
Okay.
And so they dissolve in the fats in the body. They dissolve in the oils. See,
Because that's where it gets stored, right?
They get stored. Yeah, we bring in tons of pesticides. We've the body can detoxify things.
Yeah.
But we are bringing in toxins at such a rate that we have overwhelmed the ability of the body to detoxify what we're bringing in.
So it hides it where
hides
it can.
it. Right,
Yeah.
stores it out.
Fat and wherever it can.
It tries to protect you from it.
Yeah.
To protect you, so it stores it away.
As far away as it can from the organs.
Yeah. So there you have. Now it's all stored in the fat. Now, when you take a sauna, if you do it correctly, and I tell you how to do it correctly in all of my books, if you do it correctly, you melt the fat under the skin, and the fat starts to come out of the oil glands.
And so doing it correctly means being in there for about a half an hour.
Well, really, ideally an hour. I stay in an hour. I do it an hour.
I'll do that
3 times a week.
I'm going to start that again.
Yeah.
Every time I see you, I get back on
Well,
it.
the thing is, we measure the average person, and they're over the top. We're measuring stuff now.
First
in
of all,
people that are over and above what we know cause disease in animals.
Exactly. That's the thing that's incredible to me, that I think the kind of the outlier idea. And that's when, like, I worked at NBC News, Saturday Night Live. I had access to NBC News stuff. So I would get the stuff coming out when the Iron Curtain fell and all this information. And I've always been interested in kind of health. And also, I was also interested because they had no regulations there in the former Soviet Union. So all the toxicity reports and everything, and anything coming in from the AP, if it didn't have anything to do with health, or what the thing that struck me was that people over the age of 16 to like 65 were able to take pollution and pesticides and like poisons that would kill an elephant, but somehow they were surviving in that ratio. Then eventually they fall off a cliff and they die, but what the average person is able to take is tremendous.
Tremendous,
But the thing is, if we're able... And you feel okay. You just get used to feeling normal, but it is not wellness, and it's not healthy. And eventually, you're going to get cancer. You're going to get sick. You're going to die, like 50%, over 50% of the people do now.
Yeah.
But if you're doing this stuff, like if you do the sauna, if you do the supplements, if you get in the alkaline, and if you're eating, real foods, then you can live a life that, and you not even realize how healthy you can feel.
Precisely.
And avoid being sick.
You can take control. And you can avoid being sick. You can live a longer, happier, disease-free life, pain-free life.
Yeah.
20% of the population now suffers from chronic pain.
Yeah.
And that's chronic inflammation you're looking at.
And children have 54%.
54% of the children have a chronic disease.
Have a chronic disease. And to me, this is inhuman. And what it is, it's like when you have suffering that's preventable, that's inhuman. And I really feel like, if we're going to move, if we have to move in a direction to have this preventable suffering eliminated.
Yes,
we do. And it is from, it is in our society, it's systemic in our society. But you can take charge of it. And you're not hopeless to this. And people watching this and listening to this can take control of their health by listening to this. And I'd recommend them highly. Get the book, Never Be Sick Again, Never Fear Cancer Again. The other one, Never Be Fat Again. Mm-hmm. I gave it to my friend who was very fat, and I think he was insulted. But I also know that he knew that I meant well by it.
And then my newest book, The Great American Health Hoax.
Yeah,
that book has a whole chapter in it on a maintenance list, or how you maintain the human body. You buy a new car, it's got a maintenance list.
Yeah.
It tells you how to take care of the car.
Yeah, you can't just leave it out by themselves. People take better care of their cars than they do themselves.
Well, they don't know how to take care of themselves because we were born without a maintenance list.
We're going to take a quick break, and I'm going to tell you all the places that you can come see me, Rob Schneider, live. All right, I'm going to be in Chicago at the Improv. And that's this month, December 27th, Friday, and Saturday, December 28th, and Sunday, December 29th. Chicago Improv in Schaumburg, out in Chicago. I'll see you out there. And then in January, you can see me at in the Maryland Theater. I'll be there on the 9th, and in Hagerstown, Maryland. On the 10th, I'll be at the Eichelberger Performing Arts Center, Eichelberger, in Hanover, Pennsylvania. And the 11th, I'll be at the Music Box in Atlantic City. And on January 12th, I'll be in Norwalk, Connecticut at the Wall Street Theater. So get your tickets now, robschneider.com. And we will continue with Raymond Francis, author of Never Be Sick Again, Never Fear Cancer Again, Never Be Fat Again. And we're back with See What Happens. This is a health, a real health, I don't know what you'd call it, the understanding of how you can get healthy and what health is and what causes disease. And that's what we've been talking about with Raymond Francis. So, my goodness. This is the two-parter one, and thank you for doing this again. So, as far as like preventing suffering and getting back so people can be healthy, because what we talked about in the very beginning was if we don't, the costs. I mean, my family works. My family's Filipino, so they have to be in the medicine business, and they deal with end-of-life care, and it is crazy expensive.
Yeah,
it is just like, I mean, they'll have like you fall off the cliff. You look on a plane. And you go, and I look at everybody on that plane, the end of their life. I mean, the $300 to $2 million each person. Now, that's not sustainable for any culture, right?
No, it's not. And the last 2 weeks of life chew up enormous amounts of money. So we've got a system that isn't working for us.
Yeah.
And we have to change what we do. We have to change the paradigm. We have to change the way we think. We have to change the way we do medicine. The way we do medicine now is simply wrong. And indeed, in my book, The Great American Health Hoax, I explain that healthcare is a hoax. So what is a hoax? A hoax is something that is pretending to be something that it is not. If we look up the definition of healthcare, healthcare is preventing disease and restoring health. That's what healthcare is.
That's the definition.
Yeah. Now, if we look at our healthcare system, it does not prevent disease.
No.
And if you do get sick, it does not restore health. So it's a hoax. It's not a healthcare system. It's a disease care system. And it does not look, in every other endeavor.
Yeah.
Whether you're a plumber.
There's progress in it.
Somebody has a leak in their ceiling and you're the plumber and you rush in and what you want to do is you want to find out where the problem is.
Yeah. And how to fix it.
You want to get to the source of the problem and you want to fix it and you want to stop the leak. And then people are really, really happy.
The leak's done.
And that isn't what the doctor does. The doctor doesn't look for the cause of the problem. The doctor just gives you a toxic chemical to suppress the symptoms of the problem, does nothing to solve the problem.
Underlying problem.
Yeah. So you're still sick, you still have the underlying problem, and now you're being poisoned by the drug, which is making you sicker.
Yeah.
And then you require another drug, which makes you sicker, which requires another drug. And pretty soon you're on the 7.5 drugs. Average.
And then you get sick. And then people at a certain point, then you get sick and you get cancer. Oh my God, how did you get cancer? What happened? And then you go through these horrible treatments. And then the next thing you know, well, we did everything we could for you. Or I love when they say, listen, it's incurable, but we're going to do this anyway. It's incurable, but we have these treatments that We're going to do it anyway, just to give you some hope or to spend some money.
Well,
and it's crazy expensive, and it's also very painful. And everybody goes like, I wish I would have never done that.
let me tell you a story. When I was writing my cancer book, I have a friend who's very, very knowledgeable. He goes all over the world to see who's doing what about cancer. So he's a real expert. He's way up on everything that's happening.
Western treatments or Eastern?
Both.
Okay.
Alternative and Western treatments. And so the phone rang, and it was my friend Frank on the phone, and he said, I just had this incredible experience, and I know you're writing a book on cancer, and I had to call you, and I had to tell you about this.
Yeah.
And he said, I was sitting here in the office, and my secretary poked her head in, and she said, Dr. So-and-so's on the phone. And he said he knew immediately who this doctor was because he's one of the top oncologists in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And he thought to himself, I must have said something wrong to somebody, and this guy heard about it, and he's unhappy with what I said, and he's going to do a tap dance on my head for the next 20 minutes. So he got on the phone, and they exchanged pleasantries. And he finally said, well, doctor, to what do I owe the honor of your call? And the doctor said, I have cancer. And Frank said, why are you calling me? And the doctor said, because I know what we do doesn't work.
Wow. Yeah.
And then they get into a further discussion, and Frank said, well, surely, doctor, you must know that chemotherapy doesn't work. And the doctor said, well, of course I know chemotherapy doesn't work. I mean, everybody knows chemotherapy doesn't work.
Wow. Incredible.
And so then he said, well, why do you use it? And the answer was to give people hope.
Yeah.
And to keep them away from quacks. Whereupon my friend said, well, sometimes it's hard to know who the quack is. But to give them, but what the doctor didn't mention and should have mentioned is that the average oncologist earns 1/3 of their income off of chemotherapy. Some of them are getting half their income off of their chemotherapy.
Yeah.
So if they don't,
they get it for $25,000, they sell it for $35,000, something like that.
Right. Yeah. So that's a huge. Who wants to give up a third of their income or half of their income? You got a family to support.
Now, what about some people that get the treatments and then they are better for a while, or they're better, or they, my thought of it is they're better in spite of it, not because of it.
Very often, in spite of it. But it can suppress a tumor, and maybe you can feel better for a while. But it's you've been poisoned. You've been badly poisoned. And again, as you pointed out before, the cancer is a systemic disease. What this does, it shrinks the tumor. Mm-hmm. So you're smashing the car while the production line is still operating, producing new cars. So what have you accomplished?
Which are still toxic and still, you haven't done the underlying systemic issue
right.
of
you
disease.
haven't addressed the pH. You haven't addressed the oils in the membrane.
So would you say that sometimes, though, Western medicine, if they're able to do both, that might be appropriate? If it's like a massive tumor, that sometimes you would have to cut it out or poison or whatever.
Well, if you have a massive tumor, maybe cutting it out might be okay under certain situations. But intravenous vitamin C will shrink tumors.
Shrink it down, right?
Very nicely.
Okay. That's a massive dose of vitamin C.
Yeah, massive dose.
Like 100,000 milligrams of vitamin C.
Yes, and maybe even more. It depends on what you see. Here's a problem with vitamin C. You have to give the person what they need. Mm-hmm. So you can't just say, I'm going to give them 50 grams and that'll do it. They might need 200 grams. Mm-hmm. And if they don't get the 200 grams, it's not going to work. So you have to measure the vitamin C in the blood. So this is the key. And a lot of people who use intravenous vitamin C don't know this, don't do it. You have to measure what's in the blood and keep the blood levels normal.
Okay.
So that the next morning you still have a normal level of vitamin C in the blood. And that does the trick.
Okay.
And I could tell you, I was working with an AIDS patient once up in San Francisco. And so I recommended intravenous vitamin C to him. We gave this guy 50 grams of vitamin C, couldn't measure any vitamin C in his blood.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where was it going then?
All being used up.
Wow. You mean his organs and stuff?
Yeah. The inflammation was so enormous, the inflammation was chewing up the vitamin C faster than when you put it in.
Wow.
So we gave him 100 grams. Couldn't measure any vitamin C in the blood. Gave him 200, no vitamin C. 300, no vitamin C. 400, no vitamin C. 500, you could finally measure some vitamin C in the blood. 500, that's almost a pound of vitamin C a day intravenously. And I mean,
so his system was just...
That sounds insane. I mean, if somebody told you you're going to give him a pound of vitamin C, you say, that's insanity.
That's how depleted his body was.
Yeah. This guy was totally cured of the AIDS. Totally cured.
Wow. That's amazing. Now, again, that's like... But there's no money in that for the pharmaceutical industry.
Compared to the chemotherapy or something like, there's no money in it.
So why would anybody in good conscience want to do that kind of treatment?
Precisely.
It cures people,
This is simply, vitamin C is cheap. There's no money in it.
Now, why in America? Let me just ask you this question, because you said this thing to me many, many years ago. And because you were talking to some friends in 1976 at the 200th anniversary of our country here in America. You said the great experiment of America, maybe the greatest experiment in a government in the history of Western civilization. And then you said to me what you said to your friend at that time. How are they going to screw it up?
Well,
how did we screw it up, and how are we screwed up now?
I think mostly greed. People. I'm the kind of person, and I know you are too. We care about the greater good. We care about our fellow man, and we want to be helpful. There are some people who just want all that they can get, and they want it now, and they don't care who they have to run over in order to obtain that. And I think that's a big problem.
We have an industry of unhealth that is rampant now, and that the pharmaceutical industry is just a small group of people that have managed to buy state legislators, state assemblymen, governors, and then on the national level, state senators, and congressmen, and now they are enacting laws, and it is, and then are also running the media. I remember because when I was younger, there was no advertising for drugs on TV.
That's right.
Most countries don't do that.
It was illegal. They changed the law because of the lobbyists, and now drug sales have gone through the roof because people see the ads and they ask for the drugs. Astronomical
amount of spending, and then astronomical amount of intake of what the money they make. Like, for instance, it's as much as 85% of all television by advertising, all radio advertising, all internet advertising in a non-election year is the pharmaceutical products, drugs.
So they own the media, and the media will not put anything out that damages their prime customer, which is the drug industry.
Yeah, so that is really goes against the. I mean, it's amazing to me. I don't think that the founding fathers ever envisioned that there'd be this kind of potential for this kind of tyranny.
Right.
Otherwise, they would have done something about it.
Well, they 200 years ago, they couldn't possibly imagine television and internet and and the concentration of power that can happen as a result of that.
Yeah.
But we have it. But the countermeasure, of course, is education, and to make people understand that what is happening and what they can do to take some of that power back for themselves. The disease industry has taken the power away from people. and basically told them, you can't take care of yourself. We have to take care of you.
They literally say the pharmaceutical industries. If you look at like a company, whether it's GlaxoSmithKline or Merck or whatever, they'll have on their Johnson and Johnson. They will say like for their investment portfolio, our goal is from cradle to grave drugs, from the day you're born to the day you die.
Yippee!
Yeah, congrats.
Buy stock.
We're going to make money.
Get stock.
But how come in America, the land of the free, with free speech and everything, this industry can squelch conversation and ideas and discussions about medicine? I mean, isn't that unbelievable to you?
It is, but a lot of it is self-censorship.
Yeah.
The television station that is getting all that income off of the drugs.
Yeah, you were going to be on Fox News.
I was going to
tell that story.
Right. After I wrote my cancer book, I was invited to be on a 1-hour broadcast on Fox News, and hours before the broadcast, it was canceled. No rescheduling, no explanation.
Yeah.
But somebody up above got wind of what was happening, and they blackballed me. They said, "No way, we're going to talk about how to prevent cancer." And so it was canceled. The lower level people thought, "Wow, this is really interesting. People are going to really like this."
Yeah.
But the upper level people said, "No, we're going to bite the hand that feeds us."
Yeah, you're threatening the powers that could be.
So it's self-censorship is what it is.
Yeah, well, the most dangerous form of censorship is self-censorship. Now, the thing that I've never gotten more attacked, I've never had more, had my career threatened and just people by questioning something that I think everybody should question. 54% of children now in America, 54%, and this is a statistic that I believe is at least 2 years old, maybe 3.
Yeah.
54% of all children in America suffer from a chronic illness. And I believe that 42% is some physical allergies or some whatever they have, rheumatoid arthritis or the childhood diabetes, obesity, and 12% is neurological. Now, that is not the biggest story in the mainstream media and is not daily talked about, to me is proof of willful ignorance on behalf of our government officials, on behalf of the medical industrial complex, and behalf of our bought and paid for media.
Very much so, very much so. And the future of, a sustainable society is dependent on the health of its people, and our people are all sick. So what kind of a future are we looking at? We're looking at bankruptcy because we can't afford to pay for it all.
It's unbelievable. And the idea that this is like normal, it's always been there. No, it's just new. We're just diagnosing. We have new diagnostic tools now.
Right.
I always just say to these people, like, so it's always been there? No, yeah, diagnostics are better now. Really, where are all the old autistic people?
Right.
And autism is just another.
There weren't any.
There weren't. Where are they hiding all the old autistic people?
I went through school. I never saw a case of autism in my entire school career.
Now, they've done a very good job of manipulating this the idea and convoluting and making this complicating this idea of what autism is. And you guys got to get just to what it is: brain damage. These kids are suffering from brain damage.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's encephalitis. If you look up under anything, and this is the thing you're not allowed to talk about in America. You're not allowed to talk about it. Otherwise, you're like a conspiracy theorist. You're a crazy person, or you're in danger to the public. And that is talking about what's happening to our children and the fact that you got 3 vaccines when you were younger. You're here at 83 years old.
Yeah.
I think I was given 3. I'm 56 years old, and now it's 72 different doses of 16 different vaccines for kids.
Yeah,
3 times more than in Europe. And we ask ourselves, and we're not allowed to talk about this or question this.
Insane,
isn't
absolutely
it?
Insane.
And it's again, it's something that is like, it's a demarcation point. You are not allowed to discuss this or talk about it, but we need to, because what happens is if you care about people, if you care about children, if you care about the future of this country, we are not going to be able to afford all these. I mean, I've talked to, to my wife about, like, we're going to eventually have to do those Jerry Lewis telethons because of the kids now who've gone for, they're going to have to be homes for these children.
Right.
Who's going to take care after their parents die? The kids, the parents, you take a look at the people who are fighting for this issue about they just don't want this, what happened to their child to happen to other kids. That's all. And like, what's going to happen to these kids when their parents die and can no longer take care of them? And these are kids who have, brain damage. These kids have and the kids who also have the chronic disease. And so if you can just talk about from a cellular level about what's happening to kids when they get injected with these substances that go there's different levels. For instance, when you get a dis-ease, first of all, like most people have there for every human cell in our body, there is 10 cells that are not human, that are part of us. And think of
right. There's about 10 cells that are microorganisms
that are not
mostly in your gut, that are not you. In fact, the biggest organ in your body is the bugs, if you will, in your digestive system.
And that's your immunity.
It is. But you see, those bugs have jobs to do. They're there for a reason.
Yeah.
There are 10 times as many of them as there are of you. So who do you think runs the show?
Yeah.
They run the show, and they all have jobs to do. They're very, very important jobs. They produce vitamins. They take toxins apart. They help to regulate your immunity. We don't even begin to understand it all.
The complexity of it. And I don't mean to say that like Western medicine is like is all, is the intention is bad, but the result is bad. And I believe that now the manipulation is out of hand because of money. But for instance, I believe that if you look at the approach, there is a direct conflict with nature and how we're approaching things. And that's the problem with Western civilization, and definitely the problem in medicine, is this idea. You hear this thing about, look, we conquered Mount Everest. So what is conquer? It's just there. You either climbed it, you made it to the top, or you didn't. And so there's this thing that nature is the enemy, and we need to
conquer it.
We need to conquer it, and we need to conquer and be in control of it.
Yeah.
Whereas instead of being one with it and realizing that your body is not it's a bridge.
Yes.
It's not separating you. It's connecting you to the whole thing. And I think that's a real interconnected.
And we now have this very mechanistic view of life. And only things that we can measure and see are real.
Yeah.
And we've completely disconnected from the spiritual and the other aspects of existence. And we've disconnected ourselves from nature. And now nature is getting killed, so to speak. We're killing ourselves.
We are. We're wiping out nature in the outside world and on the inside world.
Species are all dying off.
Yeah. We have a real... the biosphere is under incredible strain right now.
Incredible strain.
And I would say that the outside biosphere, that the strain is happening around the world, is also happening inside our own bodies.
Yes, sir.
And it's a direct correlation.
Yes, sir.
And I'd like to talk just a little bit about the most controversial thing you could talk about is what's happening with vaccines and kids, which will automatically put this unbelievably informative conversation under the red tag of like conspiracy and like bad information, and it'll be attacked by everybody. But I would rather talk about it so that I could say that we had a chance to do it. And when history looks back on this age and say that, we weren't part. We were at least trying to have a real conversation about it.
Well, here's something that is not a conspiracy and is absolute truth. No vaccine has ever been tested by scientific method to see if it is safe and effective.
That's incredible.
Now,
if you tell that to the average person,
that alone should ring alarm bells from here to Washington, D.C., and alarm bells in the head of every single parent.
But they would say that can't be true. Like there's like, I'm not going to even mention their names of the people who profit off of this this industry of unbelievable of creating such illness and suffering. And they would say that that can't be true, but it is true because it's not
true.
qualified as a drug, is it?
That is right. It isn't. It isn't under the rules that apply to drugs.
Because a drug would be, we would have to do what to a drug?
You have to do safety testing. You don't have to do it for a vaccine.
Why is that?
And the bottom line, probably politics.
But it's quantified, not as a drug, but as a
drug, yes.
as a biologic.
Yeah.
And what's the difference?
There really isn't a difference. It's just a semantic.
So basically, well, we're not going to just test that,
Exactly.
just in case.
We're not going to do that.
Because we might find out something we don't want to know.
Well, they will find out something they don't want to know because they know the vaccines are dangerous. Now, remember, and here's something that just goes right back to Congress. Vaccines are so dangerous and so deadly that the vaccine industry went screaming to Congress with all of their people.
Lobbyists and everything.
Yeah. And they said, we need protection from product liability laws. And the argument in front of Congress was that vaccines are inherently dangerous, and therefore we need protection from product liability laws.
It was ruled by Congress unavoidably unsafe.
Absolutely, unavoidably unsafe. And Congress passed a law giving them immunity from being sued. If your child is injured by the vaccine, you can't sue the drug company because Congress has protected them from something that is inherently unsafe by their own argument.
By their own admission, yeah. It's unbelievable.
The average parent doesn't know that.
No, I think people...
And that's not a conspiracy theory.
You can look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is outrageous, and unfortunately, but I think people are waking up to it. I think they are. I think the fact that that they're trying to continue to take away people's rights. I mean, if you look at any drug that would need to be mandated, that you can't sue for if anything goes wrong, and you can't go to school, and also if anybody dares talk about it, we're going to censor them. Pretty much a red flag on all those. You know? Wow. But anyway, so now we'll be red flagged for this. But so anyway, so just to kind of wrap up, because I know that's the tough one, and I think this is America. We need to be able to talk about everything, and if we really do want to get people healthy, and prevent our economy from being
crashing.
We're going to have to get healthy. We're going to have to. It's no longer sustainable to have like the workforce unhealthy, to have the workforce not able to think clearly, cognitively. We're having a brain drain, and we're having our children sick. And there's just no way we're going to be able to function as a society unless we can get this under control and get this moved forward. And I think that's something that's your life work. And I'm grateful to you for that. And for people who want to be able to get a hold of Raymond Francis, you got to go to his website, beyondhealth.com, and you got to read his books. And his books start off with Never Be Sick Again. And you'll realize that you don't have to get sick. A lot of people go through life, and they go, no, I'm going to get a cold a year. I'm fine. I'm healthy. I get one cold a year, one flu every 2 years.
Sick.
Then you're sick. Yeah. Most people walking around don't realize they are dealing with the sickness that's going to eventually fall them off a cliff. And when you do get a cold, you're really, really sick. So that's something to take from this. And you can go back and listen to this. You could read the books. The other book is Never Fear Cancer Again and Never Be Fat Again. And the newest book is The American Health.
The Great American Health Hoax.
Great American Health Hoax, and that's by Raymond Francis. You can get a hold of him at the RaymondFrancisAuthor.com and then BeyondHealth.com.
And on both of those sites, you can sign up for a free little newsletter that you get that gives you high-quality health information on a regular basis.
For instance, for people who do have high blood pressure, want to get off, who have cholesterol and believe that that's an issue for them, there's a way to, like in high blood pressure, there's a way to do that just simply through diet and through supplements.
Right.
And that's like, instead of going through these drugs, I love it when you get a drug from your doctor. But how long am I going to take this? Forever. You take it forever.
Hopefully forever.
yeah. Until it kills you.
Yeah. It's the disease industry is totally dependent on millions of people getting sick, but most importantly of all, staying sick.
Yeah.
Because that's where the money is.
Yeah, that's where the money is. Well, thank you for this, and it was a good one. All the stuff I wrote down that I'm going to go right into the sauna after this. I'm going to check my pH, make sure it's between 6.5 and 7.5 first thing tomorrow morning, and then I'm going to get back, start taking a lot more vitamin C. So that's what you do to me every time, Raymond. So I need you as like you are my annual flu shot, except without the shot. All right, thank you so much, my friend. It's such a pleasure and an honor to be for all your information. I'm grateful to you and an honor to be your friend. And I just hope that people today would realize that, and who are watching and listening, to know that it's within your grasp to get healthy and feel good very quickly.
And thank you very much. You're a very gracious host.
Thank you. I'm a comedian, not a doctor. The purpose of this podcast is to get you started. It's a starting point. It's to entertain, educate, and inform you. It's not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your professional healthcare provider for medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment options. So again, it's a great place to start, and you take it from here. It's great. Educate yourself. Ask questions. That's always the best thing to do.